Yeah.
Will you take my questions today, despite my being a reporter with RT?
I took your questions yesterday. I've taken them before. I have every intention of taking them today. If I hadn't thought that I would take your questions, I wouldn't have called on you when you raised your hand.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Your colleague, a State Department official, emailed me the list of hospitals, which you didn't have at the briefing yesterday. The list included 3 hospitals struck in rural western Aleppo and 2 in the Idlib province within the past few days. For your information, my colleagues at RT in Moscow did ask Russian officials about the hospitals on that list.
Good.
The information comes from the World Health Organization, which indeed says 5 hospitals in Syria in those locations were attacked. The WHO told us that it was not their job to assign blame. But since the accusations are so serious, they must be looked into, I think. With that, I want to ask a few questions. Did you, and I mean the State Department, draw the conclusion that Russia hit the hospitals based on their location, knowing that Russia was carrying out operations in Idlib in the past few days?
What I
Was it
said
based on the
yesterday
location?
was these hospitals, we had information that these hospitals were hit from credible aid agencies. You mentioned WHO. We know it wasn't coalition aircraft, so it either had to be Syrian or Russian aircraft. I don't know and wouldn't get into, as I never have from this podium, a specific discussion of each and every airstrike and who and how it was conducted. That's not for me to say.
So, is that just to make it clear? Are you or are you not accusing both Russian and Syrian militaries of hitting the hospitals?
What I'm saying is that
Both.
that there have been credible accounts of hospitals that were hit. Hospitals. Let's not forget that as you and I go in this little back and forth. Hospitals. Medical care facilities. These are credible accounts of them being hit. We know that they weren't hit by coalition aircraft. So that leaves only, wait a second, that leaves only 2 other potential players here. And that's either the Syrian regime or their Russian backers, are the only other ones that are flying tactical aircraft over Aleppo and have conducted airstrikes. Now, if you're asking me to tell you what kind of aircraft on each hospital and how many bombs, I don't have that information.
And
all I was doing yesterday was saying that we've seen these credible allegations and claims, and they are extremely worrisome.
Do you distinguish between, well, obviously you said you don't know which Air Force hit which hospitals, but do you distinguish between the 2, or do you accuse them both together of that?
I wasn't, Diane, I wasn't making accusations. I was simply expressing concern that we had seen from credible aid agencies, and I think the World Health Organization is credible, about continued Syrian and Russian-backed airstrikes in and around Aleppo, where innocent people are being killed, people that are going to hospital to get better, and they're being killed. And let's not forget that. This isn't about accusations, and I'm not making accusations. I was yesterday expressing serious concern that we still have, because we saw another report today from Doctors Without Borders that another 2 hospitals were struck today. You can go look at Doctors Without Borders on their website and see that. Okay? Yeah.
Why is it so difficult to determine who struck what? I mean, in this kind of environment, we know the combatants, as you said. We know who's carrying out airstrikes and so on. So why is it so difficult to determine that this was hit at this particular time and so on? I mean, you have definitely all kinds
visibility. We don't have perfect visibility and say, look, I don't want to get into a military discussion here.
Okay.
Again, I think this is a better question to put to my colleagues across the river. But we don't have perfect visibility on the tactical situation in and around Aleppo, or even in many areas of Syria. The fight, the military effort in Syria is dedicated to Daesh and to the fight against that terrorist group. And on those issues, on those strikes, on those operations, our colleagues in the military have been very candid and forthcoming with detail, but we don't have perfect visibility.
Because apparently, I mean, rebels or opposition sources and so on, they make all kinds of claims. They claim that there is no ISIS, let's say, in eastern Aleppo. There are no militant groups and so on. They make these. How do you determine what is credible and what is not when you don't have your own assets?
We do the best we can, knitting together a fabric of information sources that we have. Some of it can come from intelligence sources. Right. Some of it comes from press reporting. Some of it comes from credible aid agencies and organizations. Some of it comes from the opposition groups that we're in daily communication with. I mean, there's a variety of sources that allow you to put together the best picture possible, but it's not perfect. And I've never said that it's perfect. Our information is.
And my last one on this.